He changed my life in so many ways. I missed so many bullets, police, all types of stuff because I was busy with him. You don't even know who I am. But he looked at me so like with a look in his eyes like, I know I was waiting on you. I started getting them every weekend. And I started getting them every week. I want to say I love you. And thank you, man, for coming into this world to guide me the right way, man. I don't know why God took you away from me, though, but I know why he put you in his life, though. I love you. Your daddy, man.
Now I'm like out here for a reason, because I gotta live out here for that baby. I'm like, baby girl, that ain't able, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is Big Boss Donno, telling the world he only kept living for one reason: his kids.
And my daughter just smiling, clapping her hands like she knows what's going on. I said, look at her, she knows
what's going on. The kids be knowing.
Uh-huh.
I wish she could have voted. Like, I would have taken her vote, like the goo-goo gaga. I'd be like, yeah, hey, leg, I hear you, little one.
Yeah.
He was a proud father, down to the bone. However, life struck and his son passed away. And a year after he buried his little boy, they found Donno at that same grave, gone.
Meet Curtis Aiken Mallory. In the DMV, that whole Washington, D.C. area, most people never knew him by that name. They knew him as Curdy Top, or Big Donno, or Big Boss Donno.
And if you feelin' home, better make a hook up. I might just sell some deuce in here, just to get my books up. Took a cop to some short shit. Be home before I look up. Let's just take this time to do some sit-ups and some push-ups. Missing time with my kids.
He was born on January 1st, 1993, and was one of those rare dudes who wore about 5 different hats and wore them all well. He was a rapper, yeah, but he was also a real artist, a muralist who painted big, loud, colorful walls. And on top of that, he was a mentor who poured into young people from rough neighborhoods. Before the fame in his little corner of the world, he was just working regular jobs like everybody else, putting in time at a call center and at a bank before he chased the creative life full time. And when he chased it, he ran hard. In the DMV rap scene, he built a real name with his leg movement, dropping tracks like Curdy Top Shit and rolling with his leg team crew.
If you never lived in the DC area, the leg thing might sound like slang out of nowhere. But to him, it was a whole identity, a family, and a movement built out of how he came up. That was the energy: fast cars, sharp style, and a crew of dudes who came up rough together and kept pushing each other forward. He and his people rapped, and they moved as a unit.
Stick to the code. Can't step on the real when they know that you told. You knew what it was when we stepped in their home. You think you was smoking, you smell like a pole. Gave her the leg cause she thought she was grown. Back to the curtain top.
It was the same loyalty you hear in every one of these stories, that ride or die bond, except Donno was trying to point his all the way towards something positive. He was funny, sharp, and loved his people, and he lit up talking about the crew that pushed him to take his music serious in the first place.
I mean, that shit y'all like got niggas going hard.
Yeah. Respect.
If you on the way, I'ma move that.
Yeah, that's a good little motivator to keep you going.
Nah, for real, at first I ain't believe that.
But Donno's story was not always murals and mentorship. He had a wilder chapter, and it is a big part of his legend. Around 2015, there was an alleged chain snatching at a DC nightclub connected to Migos and Quavo, and the way the story got told in the streets, Donno was the man who did it, then turned around and shot a video flaunting that same chain. That one incident made him famous and infamous at the same time. It kicked off rap disses, including his own track, Leg on Me, aimed right at Quavo, and it stuck his name in that whole Quavo chain snatcher lore forever. Right or wrong, that reputation followed him for years, and it made him a name in DMV hip-hop. He reportedly did time behind that era of his life, and when he came home, he came back different. His first day out freestyle marked the comeback, but this time the energy was pointed somewhere better. He put his focus into painting murals on neglected walls, into rec centers, into telling kids from hard backgrounds that they could pick up a brush instead of a pistol. People started calling him a real one, a role model, somebody who saw something in all of us. He took a street reputation and turned it into a light for his community. And he kept the music going too, linking up with other DMV artists and stacking up collaborations while he built toward a tape he wanted to do right. On the radio, you could hear how serious he was getting about handling the business side properly, instead of just dropping songs and hoping. He was thinking like a man with a future, a man with people counting on him, moving carefully instead of just chasing the next quick moment.
I had men behind me, like, encouraging me to do after a situation. You know what I mean? After the situation, I made the leg on me jump.
That is the whole arc of Big Boss Donno in one sentence. After the situation, with real ones in his corner, he chose to build instead of destroy. And the building was literal. He picked up brushes and paint and started turning dead, forgotten walls into something beautiful. He hit rec centers and public spaces in neighborhoods that the city mostly ignored, splashing color where there used to be nothing but gray. But the murals were never just about the art. They were about the kids watching him do it. He would pull young people in, put a brush in their hand, and show them that there was a lane for them that did not end in a jail cell or a coffin. In a part of the country where public art programs are one of the few things pulling youth off the corner, Donno made himself into a bridge. He was living proof that you could come from the bottom, make every mistake, and still turn into somebody a child could look up to. And the biggest thing that turned him around was not a record deal or a mural, it was a little boy. His son was named Razik, and folks called him Zik. Donno was open about the fact that he stepped into fatherhood when Razik was only about 8 months old. And here's the beautiful part. He didn't treat that like a burden or a technicality. He claimed that boy fully, loved him like breath, and gave that baby the credit for changing the whole direction of his life.
Now I'm like out here for a reason, because I gotta live out here for that baby. I'm like, baby girl, that ain't 80, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the radio, when they gave him the platform to shout out anybody in the world, one of the first names out his mouth was his kid.
Is there any other shout-outs you want to give while you're here and you got the platform?
Right now, I want to just shout out my daughter, Ayla. I want to shout out to God, man. Shout out to the whole DMV, man. Showing me love, man. And all my supporters.
He carried videos of his kids around on his phone just to show people, grinning like a proud dad does, watching a baby clap along like she understood the whole moment.
I got a video of my daughter. Shout out to Ayla. What's up, mama? I got a video of my daughter on my phone my baby mother was doing. And my daughter just smiling, clapping her hands like she know what's going on. I said, look at her. She know what's going on.
The kids be knowing.
That was Donno at his happiest. A man who came out of the streets, survived his mistakes, found his purpose, and built a life around his children. He had every reason to believe the hardest part was behind him. He was wrong. The hardest thing a parent can ever face was still coming, and it was going to arrive quietly in the form of a stumble at school and a bump on a little boy's forehead. Because in September of 2023, Razik started showing symptoms that nobody wanted to understand.
It started with small things. Before September of 2023, Razik began moving a little off balance, tilting his head to one side, having some trouble with his vision. Then on September 8th at school, the little boy fell and hit his head, and that bump on his forehead sent them to the emergency room for a scan. The next day, the scan gave them the worst news a family can get. Doctors found a tumor on his brainstem, and the diagnosis was DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. If you have never heard of DIPG, it is a rare pediatric brain cancer that grows right in the middle of the brainstem, tangled up in the part that keeps a body running, which means surgeons cannot cut it out. Doctors can hit it with radiation to slow it down and buy time, but the honest numbers are brutal, with most kids surviving only around 9 months to a year. It is one of the most heartbreaking diagnoses in all of medicine. DIPG is so rare, only affecting a few hundred children a year in the whole country, that it barely gets any of the big federal cancer money. Most of the real research funding comes from families who lost their own kids and started foundations to fight it. Parents turning their worst day into a mission so that maybe the next family gets a different ending. So when Donno got that diagnosis, he was facing a disease that the whole medical world is still, to this day, mostly losing to. There was no magic treatment waiting for Razik. There was only time, and time was short. Razik fought anyway. The family called him a superhero, and they meant it. He went through radiation, he kept his spirit up and inspired his classmates and his teachers even while he was sick. His people flooded the internet with love for him, all the hashtags, all the prayers. For a few months, watching that little boy dig in gave everybody hope. Then came the trip that was supposed to be a bright spot in the middle of the nightmare. Razik got granted a Make-A-Wish trip, the kind of thing built to give a sick child a little pure joy after months of hospitals and needles. But only about 14 hours into that trip in December, he suffered a major seizure, and just like that, the small window of hope slammed shut. They rushed him to the hospital, and the new scans showed the tumor had spread to more of his brain and down his spine. On January 2nd, 2024, just days before what would have been his 6th birthday, Razik passed away. He is buried at Heritage Memorial Cemetery in Waldorf, Maryland.
What's up, y'all? See, I ain't gonna talk to y'all, I'm gonna talk to him. See, baby boy, the life I used to live was so crazy, you feel me? But when I met you, Sierra said, "You got a son." I'm like, "No, I don't." She sent me a picture of you. I'm like, hold up. Oh, he looked too like me. Oh, moving too fast. Hold up. So I sent it to my mother. My mother said, "You so stupid." I'm like, And when I took the test, and not even before the test part, when she rolled that back window down, you was sitting right there, and he looked at me. And he reached up, and I'm like, "You don't even know who I am." But he looked at me so, like, with a look in his eyes, like, I know I was waiting on you. I started getting them every weekend. Then I started getting them every week. And then he just ended up being with me. But I ended up, like, really taking in the responsibility that I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know I was taking care of little boy. I just was doing it. He changed my life in so many ways. I missed so many bullets, police, all types of stuff because I was busy with him. With that being said, baby boy, I want to say I love you and thank you, man, for coming into this world to guide me the right way, man. I don't know why God took you away from me, though, but I know why he put you in his life, though. I love you. Your daddy, man.
And this is where Donno's story stops being about music, because the man never really came back from losing his son. Everybody around him said the same thing, that he loved that boy more than anything he had ever known.
I think I got self-therapy. I think I got self-therapy, though. Nah, for real. Because I had a therapist, for real. After my son died, I had a therapist. But that shit was it's cool, man. That shit just ain't work. I don't think this shit work. For real.
So how do you deal with the passing of your son?
Damn, that's a question, son. How I deal with the passing of my son.
Talk to them people.
Dang, that's a joke. I can't get it to you. I can't even tell you exactly what I do to deal with the passing of my son. Because I just wake up and just go. I don't plan shit. I think planning is made to be broken like.
That Razik was his whole reason for straightening his life out, and now that reason was in the ground. He kept working, kept painting, and kept showing up for his community, but the people close to him watched the weight settle onto his shoulders and never once lift back off. Grief like that does not always look loud, and a lot of the time it just looks like a man who keeps smiling in public while something inside him is quietly going out. He was still out there in some form, still moving. There is even an interview from around May of 2025 where he showed up, talking, still part of the community. From the outside, it might have looked like a man slowly putting himself back together, but the people who really knew him could see the truth sitting underneath it, that the healing never actually came, and he was just carrying the same weight a little further down the road. For a full year, he carried it. And then, in the days before July 21st, 2025, he started posting raw, painful messages, the kind of words that in hindsight read like a goodbye. He spoke straight to his mother, telling her how hard he had tried. He reportedly wrote, "I'm so sorry, y'all, but I can't take this no more. I really hope to see y'all again." Then he went to the one place that meant everything to him. He went to Razik's grave, and he did not come back. He was found there at his son's resting place about a year after the boy passed away. Donno had unalived himself right where his baby was buried.
Very, very special day. We're in deep mourning, deep mourning for Curly's child. Oh man, that was a great man. He did something that we all would never understand. But we're gonna celebrate his life in a big way today. From the 3-0 Hawk, everybody show up. Don't be late, be there, or be square, or deal with me.
The whole DMV broke down. Donno was laid to rest in early August, with services handled through the same funeral firm and his family surrounded by the community he had poured into. Tribute murals went up, vigils filled the streets, and the community had hard, necessary conversations about mental health, about grief, and about how we expect fathers to just be strong while they are quietly falling apart. A lot of people said the same painful thing, that if we checked on the strong ones the way we check on everybody else, maybe he would still be here. The one image nobody could shake was the picture of it, a dad who finally chose to lie down next to his son. As rare as that specific tragedy sounds, the grief behind it is not new. Back in 2016 in Israel, there was a father named Arya Bar-Nathan, whose only son, a soldier, had been killed years before. That father spent over 20 years visiting the grave, and eventually he went there and ended his own life at his son's resting place. He was in his 80s. He had spent more than 20 years devoted to his son's memory, and reports say that when his own health was failing, he would sometimes even sleep at the gravesite. In the end, he chose that same spot to let go. Research backs up why this happens. Studies show that parents of children with cancer carry a higher risk of self-harm, especially in the raw years right after diagnosis. Losing a child does something to a person that most of us cannot even imagine. Donno was proof of how far that pain can reach. Now, from one grieving father, we go to another one. Except this father is sitting in a jail cell when the phone rings. To understand baby Yui, you have to understand his father first, because in this story, the father's shadow is the whole point. His father is Eugene Henley Jr., better known everywhere as Big U. He is 58 years old, a Los Angeles legend, and depending on who you ask, he is either a hero or a monster. On one side, Big U is a music executive who ran Unique Music, managed talent including the late Nipsey Hussle, and built a non-profit called Developing Options that got public funding to fight gang violence.
So the organization that you started is called Developing Options?
Developing Options, yes.
And we can find that online at developingoptions.org? Okay, so Developing Options, it really has a lot of, fingers in a lot of areas that the community needs. With regard to housing, are you working on homelessness issues, or tell me more about the housing component?
Well, housing for homelessness is different, and then there's what you do. So,
real estate investing and financial education.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Wiz Khalifa and others have called him a godfather of the culture. He carried himself like a man who came up in the streets and then turned all the way around to save the next generation from them. He came up in the 1980s, built himself into a certified OG, and then spent decades positioning himself as the guy who could reach the youth nobody else could reach. He showed up in documentaries and on podcasts and pulled in donations from NBA players for his charity. Rappers respected him. To a lot of Los Angeles, Big U was rap's godfather, the man who managed Nipsey Hussle and preached against the very violence he came out of. But federal prosecutors tell a very different story. In March of 2025, Big U was hit with a 43-count federal indictment accusing him of running a mafia-like criminal enterprise they nicknamed the Big U Enterprise, tied to his alleged leadership of the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips. The charges are stacked deep, including racketeering conspiracy, extortion, fraud, embezzlement, and tax crimes. The list of alleged crimes reads like a movie script, running from extorting businesses and squeezing weekly payments out of dispensaries, to robbery, to moving people across state lines for prostitution, to wire fraud that included grabbing COVID-19 relief loans for a music label that was actually losing money.
The U.S. Attorney's Office announcing charges against Eugene Henley Jr. Authorities say Henley is responsible for murder, drug, and human trafficking. Also extortion and even COVID fraud. He's facing federal racketeering conspiracy charges. Prosecutors say Henley masquerades as a legitimate businessman and reformed gang member, often appearing on podcasts and media outlets. But it's a front for a wide-ranging criminal enterprise.
On top of all that, he says his charity was partly a front and that the whole reformed activist persona was hiding an operation that ran on fear. The way it came down was dramatic, too. After a long federal investigation, agents moved in during a raid, and Big U initially went dark, turning off his phones and posting online about being profiled before he finally surrendered in March. He pleaded not guilty, got held without bond as a flight and safety risk, and his trial has been pushed all the way to 2026, while both sides dig through a mountain of evidence that reportedly includes tens of thousands of intercepted calls. Through it all, Big U kept insisting he was innocent, a community man being railroaded, telling folks before his arrest that he had done nothing wrong.
This is my last video before I turn myself in.
Eugene Big U Henley posting videos to social media while riding in a van with his family on his way back to Southern California once he learned he was a wanted man.
It was all bull crap. I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to... I don't even know what to say.
But the feds had plenty to say on Wednesday, announcing a wide-ranging RICO-style investigation, including multiple arrests of members of the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips, of which Henley was described as a leader, alleging a long list of federal crimes including drug trafficking, conspiracy, fraud, and worse.
The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar, and a cheat.
They claim Henley defrauded celebrities who donated cash to his purported anti-gang program called Developing Options, also applied for grants and PPP loans, and used the money for his own benefit.
Mr. Henley duped the County of Los Angeles by running a nonprofit named Developing Options, which was set up to pull youth out of the gang life and promote anti-gang solutions. Yet Mr. Henley continued to personally orchestrate violent gang activity.
But Henley, seen here in artist sketches and a brief appearance in federal court this afternoon, insisted he's being targeted because of who and what he is.
I didn't manipulate nobody, I didn't steal nothing. We did PPP loans, we did 2 loans. And that's it, just like everybody else did. I didn't use no fraud, I didn't give none of no fake names. A lot of stuff y'all hearing is straight trash. And I appreciate the love. It's hard helping black people and not being hunted for doing it. But y'all sending it around, getting people in trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is. This is the price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You're just guilty because somebody else don't like you.
And he was not standing alone in that courtroom. Prosecutors charged a whole group alongside him, a lineup of co-defendants with street names like Bay, Bearclaw, Monty, and Loose Cannon, all accused of being part of the same machine. That is what the word enterprise means here. The government is not painting one bad man, it is painting an organization, one that allegedly wore the mask of a charity while running like a syndicate. What makes it sting extra is the source of some of that money. His nonprofit, Developing Options, actually pulled public dollars meant to reduce gang violence, and the feds say a chunk of that got funneled into his own pockets. If the charges are true, then the same programs built to stop young men from dying were quietly feeding the very thing that gets them killed. And sitting at the dark center of that whole indictment is a killing over, of all things, a dis and a chain. Prosecutors say back in January of 2021, a young, aspiring rapper named Rayshawn Williams, who was signed to Big U's own label, recorded a track that dissed Big U. The friction reportedly went back even further, all the way to high school, when Williams supposedly wore Big U's son's chain without permission and ended up getting put out of Big U's home over it. To be fair, the son himself was not accused of having any hand in the killing. But sit with the theme for a second, because it keeps repeating in every one of these stories. It starts with a chain, with a young man wearing something that was not his and stepping on somebody's pride, and that little seed of disrespect grows into a tree that is always, always violence. The diss track, recorded just days before, reportedly mocked Big U and even taunted him about being shot in the face. According to the feds, Big U confronted that young man, shot him multiple times near Interstate 15 in North Las Vegas, and had his body dragged off into a desert ditch. Prosecutors say the evidence includes cell phone data placing him in the area, surveillance of a suspicious vehicle, witnesses describing him coming back sweaty, and later intercepted calls where he allegedly worked on covering his tracks.
Gang leader Eugene Henley Jr. has just been named in a 43-count federal criminal indictment. Prosecutors accuse Henley of racketeering, fraud, extortion, and embezzlement. Henley surrendered to authorities last week in connection with a federal complaint linking him to the 2021 killing of an aspiring rapper. Prosecutors say that Henley, also known as Big U, has ties to the notorious Rollin 60s street gang. His arraignment is scheduled for April 8th.
And to be clear on the record, the research found no connection with this case and any earlier Las Vegas killing some people online tried to tie it to it. This is its own separate, brutal story. A young rapper killed over words and pride and a chain. If that sounds familiar after everything you just heard in Chicago, that is the whole tragedy of this culture. Same script, different city. Chains, disrespect, and a body. Big U was accused of being the man on the other side of that gun, the one dishing out the loss. Keep that in your mind, because it is about to come all the way back around on him. Now, into that world, that mix of music, money, activism, and violence, Big U raised his sons. One of them is Diane Henley, who made it out clean and became a linebacker for the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL. The other was Jabari Henley, 34 years old, who went by the rap name Baby U. Jabari lived in his father's world, 1 foot in the music and 1 foot in the streets his family came from. I mean, when your daddy is the godfather, you inherit his whole world, the good and the dangerous, whether you ask for it or not. Jabari loved his father hard, and when Big U got locked up, Jabari made it clear where he stood, riding for his pops in public.
Free pops, for sure. Don't stay down, hold it down. Don't keep pushing this thing.
Yeah.
And it's gonna always be our love. Always. We only got one enemy, and that's a shared team. So, keep pushing, keep putting this music out. Ain't going nowhere. Y'all gotta get the facts before y'all just get to running your mouths. Like you say, Allah is the best of all planets, so. See where I'm at. Ramadan Kareem.
That was a son standing on love for his father in the middle of the storm. By the fall of 2025, that world was on fire. His father was locked up fighting for the rest of his life, and people who knew the streets were already whispering about the old rule in the book that when a man makes as many enemies as Big U was accused of making, the bill does not always come due for him. Sometimes it comes due to the people he loves. You could hear that fear even in how folks talked about Jabari before anything happened. Malik Spellman, a man who has spent his life trying to keep young people alive in LA, knew Jabari personally, and he made it plain that the kid was not just some villain.
Big Huey, and I've known him since he was a youngster, with his dad running around, and he was a very respectful young man, and he's had his challenges as well.
A respectful young man with challenges, born into a last name that carried a target. That is who Jabari was. And on Halloween night of 2025, that target found him. Shortly after 11 at night in the Vermont Slauson area of South Los Angeles, at the corner of 69th Street and Figueroa, Jabari Henley was standing outside a smoke shop. The news reports lay out what happened next in cold, simple language.
Police say Jabari was shot and killed near Figueroa and 69th Street after he walked up to a vehicle and someone inside opened fire before driving off. Police say his father's gang ties are a major part of the investigation.
He walked up to a parked car. Someone inside opened fire and hit him several times, and he went down right there on the sidewalk. LAPD officers tried to save him, doing CPR on the ground while paramedics rushed in, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. There was even a video that circulated showing officers working on him under a tarp. The car pulled off and disappeared into the night, and as of the reporting, there were no arrests, no suspect descriptions, and no confirmed motive. Think about how he got set up for it. He walked right up to that car, which means either he knew whoever was inside, or he had no reason in the world to think anything was wrong. And either way, somebody used that trust or that comfort to pull him in close. One of the elders in that community, Malik Spellman, who knew Jabari personally, said something that stuck with a lot of people, that this whole thing might run deeper than it looks on the surface.
I've never seen him do anything negative, me personally. So for me to sit there and fabricate like, oh, you inherited your father's situation, that would be absolutely false and unfair. But for the most part, he was a very respectful young man, a Muslim little brother too. And he just had his challenges, man, you know, and it's unfortunate for him.
What the streets did not leave alone was the payback. Some of the elders who watched this stuff say the get-back came almost immediately. OG Percy spoke on it directly.
Where 3 people were killed from the neighborhood in which Big U's son was pronounced unalived. What do you make of the get back happening so quick?
What you call the get back? I mean, immediately. That let you know some people out here love. Some people out here love, so you ain't gonna just run them gun down everybody and think ain't nobody coming over. Where you get killed at over there across the street? Well, guess what? The whole street in danger.
This is just loss stacked on top of loss, with mothers on both sides of the same street planning funerals over a beef that most of them could not even explain to you. That is the machine this whole culture runs on, and that same voice pointed straight at a bitter truth about where these young men keep dying.
No matter where you go, No matter what you doing. Sitting on the corner, where you at? He sitting at the stove, at the smoke shop chilling? What? Hey. Cars are the new coffins. I told y'all that. The cars are the new coffins. That's where they finding all these up in these cars. But you know not to be sitting in your car. But get out there and get somewhere. Cars are the new coffins. I feel bad for Big U. My prayers go out to him. I wish him the best, man.
Now picture the hardest part of all this. Big U, the man at the center of everything, was in a federal jail cell when it happened. He could not run to the scene or hold his boy. He could not do a single thing but sit there. According to the reporting, a co-defendant relayed the news to him behind bars and even suggested Big U might recognize who was behind it. And Big U reportedly called this the worst year of his life. There's a man named O.G. Percy who has actually lived that exact nightmare, losing a loved one while locked away, and he broke down what that punishment really is.
The punishment of being locked up ain't about being locked up. It's about what you lose when you locked up. That's the punishment.
The cell is not the punishment, but everything the cell takes from you while you sit in it. And another voice in the community put words to how heavy that weight is on Big U right now.
Man, the pain that Big U is going through is unbearable. Because I'm a father, you're a father. It's unbearable what that man is going through. Besides his own case.
There's a truly heavy conversation happening in the culture about what that moment meant, with plenty of people pointing back at his own alleged past.
Big U finally knows what it feels like to go through what he put other parents through. The reality of it is, Big U put in a lot of pain in these streets. And he ain't here no more to protect his Calvary. In life, you reap what you sow.
That's cold, but it's the exact sentiment flooding the comment sections. The idea that a man accused of killing somebody else's son was now feeling that same loss himself. Whether you believe in karma or not, the family's pain is real and it's bottomless.
Nobody showed that pain better than the brother who made it out. Jabari Henley found out about Jabari the morning after in a hotel in Nashville, right before an NFL game. A teammate broke the news to him in the hotel, and he broke down, called his mother, and then made a decision that tells you everything about that family. He played anyway.
Linebacker Jabari Henley playing with a heavy heart today after his brother was shot and killed in South L.A.
They do quick snap and pressures come in, and Henley takes him down.
That was Henley getting a big sack today against the Titans, then falling to his knees in honor of his late brother Jabari Henley. The 34-year-old was killed Halloween night. Both men are sons of music executive Eugene Henley, better known as Big U, who's an accused leader of the Crips gang, now facing federal charges. Police say Jabari died near Figueroa and 69th Street. Investigators say someone inside a car opened fire, then drove off. There is an investigation now underway.
He suited up against the Titans, put up 7 tackles, a sack, and a pass deflection in a win, and dropped to his knees in prayer right there on the field after the sack. Afterward, holding back everything, he said, "I just wanted to talk to my brother one more time. It was just an emotional moment for me, just to be able to make a play on a day like this."
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to my brother one more time. And it was just an emotional moment for me, just to be able to make a play on a day like this, just losing him so soon. Like I said, it's been a long year for me, so I had to just send a prayer up and just hopefully he heard it and just get one out there.
You feel guys rallying around you and your teammates?
100%. They let it be known since I got the news. My brothers was there. Denzel was right there as I found out at about 6 a.m. in the morning. I found out, got a call from my mom. Denzel was right there. Then shout out my coach, Navarro Bowman, also right there as I went through it. It was a long day for me, and everybody showed up. Coach Harbaugh showed up, Jesse Mitchell showed up, and every single one of my teammates showed up. And that's why I was out there today and able to do what I did. It was just because I had a lot of support, and I knew that I wasn't going to let them down.
He called Jabari his best friend and the protector of the family. He even said his father, from behind bars, told him to let it out on that field. As for the actual case, LAPD says gang ties are a major part of the investigation, given everything in the family history, but they have not confirmed a motive, and nobody is in custody. So just like Chicago, you are left with a fresh grave and a whole lot of questions that may never get answered. Another young man gone, with no name in cuffs behind it. Before Chicago turned into a war zone that fall, there was a man named Chevelle Carter. On the block, they called him Trap City Vel. Some called him Trap City Carter, and a few knew him as Stock in a Bag Carter. He was 32 years old, and he came up out of the south suburbs, moving back and forth between Calumet Park and Calumet City, those working-class pockets that sit right on the edge of Chicago's south side. Those are the kind of neighborhoods where the money is thin and the trouble is close, and Chevelle knew both sides of that his whole life. His record with the police started early, but here is the part that surprises people. For a man whose name got tied to so much bloodshed later, his own paperwork was mostly about running, not shooting. Back in 2014, he got booked in Chicago and let go the same day on something small enough that the details never really made the news. Then, in 2017, his name popped up all the way out in Casper, Wyoming, where he ended up caught in a high-speed chase connected to a group trying to commit fraud at local banks. He was the driver. He caught traffic charges, and that told you something about how he moved. When things got hot, Chevelle hit the gas. Even his home addresses tell you how slippery that life was. Public records bounce him around, listing him on the 12,000 block of South Ada in Calumet City in one place, and the 12,800 block of South Ida in Calumet Park in another. That case out in Casper only sharpened the picture. He was riding as the driver of an SUV for a crew accused of running a fraud scheme at local banks, and when the whole thing fell apart, there he was behind the wheel again, leading the chase on foot until it was over. He never got convicted for the fraud itself because he was just the driver. In the summer of 2023, then 31 years old, he led police on a chase that topped 100 miles per hour near Oak Brook Mall out in DuPage County. Let the video tell it.
Back in 2023, Trap City Carter took the police on a high-speed chase where he went over 100 miles per hour in DuPage.
The way prosecutors laid it out, it started small and got wild fast. Officers watched a few men hop in and out of a shopping mall, and then a call came in about people trying to run credit cards that kept getting denied. When police tried to move in, Chevelle took off, flying up to about 100 miles per hour on 22nd Street, blowing a red light and getting back up to that same speed on York Road before he finally rolled over spike trips and bailed out on foot. When they searched the car, they found 3 loaded guns inside, and one of them, a Smith & Wesson 9mm, came back reported stolen out of Indiana. He was held on a $75,000 bond and charged with aggravated fleeing and eluding. Now here is where the street story and the police story stop matching up. On paper, Chevelle was a runner with no violent convictions, but on the internet, in the group chats and the comment sections and the Chicago rap blogs, his name meant something a lot heavier. Community talk and social media tied him to the Trap City set, a faction people describe as part of the Black Disciples working out of the area around 66th and Rhodes on the south side. None of that is stamped and confirmed by the police, so keep that in your mind, but it kept coming up over and over from people who claimed to know. On those blogs, he was way more than a runner. He was tied to the local rap scene, wearing those nicknames like armor, moving in a world where your set, your name, and your reputation were the only currency that really mattered. So when we tell you the next part, understand that it was never really about the object. It was about the message the object sent. And the thing that everybody points to, the little spark that they say lit the whole fire, was a chain.
When Bloodhound Lil Jeff was still alive, he went on his live and talked about how he got a new chain, but it was Trap City Carter's chain. Trap City Carter breaks down how the chain was stolen in full detail.
With this being like the Blood Hood and all that, I heard the fallout was like over a stolen Cuban or something like that.
Tell him your story. What's that still gotta be explained, guys. Hey, look, folks already been told y'all we fucking happy, you feel? You know, folks stole the chain. Stole folks' chain. He trying to act like you feel.
I wasn't gay. It was like, we get that a lot in the city. Like a lot of people claim that like they was off P's and Q's and like walked out.
Never took.
They like family, gang. He let him wear the chain.
That's like if he let me wear the chain, gang, on phone him. He let me sit up. I got that for a couple days, gang, on phone him, and I just end up, I'm outside, coming back around y'all. Then all of a sudden, I come back and say the chain is stolen. That's like a give your pipe. He said he got it in high speed. You feel the police? He got it in high speed.
A rival named Bloodhound Lil Jeff got on his live and showed off a new chain, and word was that the chain belonged to Trap City Carter. So the story goes that this back and forth over a stolen Cuban link kept building and building between Trap City and the Bloodhounds, two sets that people say used to actually be cool with each other back in the day. Then it went left, and it stayed left. Chevelle even sat down and broke the chain situation all the way down in an interview, trying to clear his name and explain how the thing really got took. He talked about how folks were trying to make it sound smooth, like somebody just borrowed it and it walked off, when he felt like it was really a setup, a group effort to play him. He was out here defending his honor over a piece of jewelry, not knowing how little time he had left to defend anything at all. He talked about how folks let him wear the chain, how he had it for a couple of days like family, and how the story only flipped to stolen after the fact, like the whole thing got staged just to embarrass him. He felt like it was a group effort to overplay a simple situation and blow it up into a war. By the fall of 2024, the beef between these two sides was not a rap blog argument anymore. Real bodies were about to hit the ground. And the man sitting there calmly explaining his side of a chain dispute was, without knowing it, already living in the last chapter of his own story. The clock on Chevelle Carter was almost out, and when it ran out, it would not stop with him. It would reach all the way to the one person in his family who had nothing to do with any of this. There's a war brewing under everything you just heard, and the people who study Chicago's streets saw it coming.
There's a new war going on right now in Chicago, and blood has spilled over the course of 3 months between Trap City and the Bloodhounds. Both sets were once cool with each other in the past.
And on the night of October 19th, 2024, Chevelle Carter's number came up. It happened on Chicago's low end, in the Oakland neighborhood, part of the historic Bronzeville area, right around 8:40 in the evening.
Police putting down multiple evidence markers there at the scene near 38th Place and Ellis. A 32-year-old man was shot there several times around 8:45 last night. A witness tells police that they saw 2 gunmen get into a white vehicle that drove away. No one.
2 gunmen, multiple shots to the chest, and a white car pulling off into the night. The person getting shot was Chevelle Carter. Officers rushed him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but he was gone, and the Cook County Medical Examiner ruled it a homicide. 2 shooters walked up to his house on foot, doing the job quickly and vanishing in a getaway car. When the internet caught wind of it, fingers pointed straight to the Bloodhound side almost instantly, mostly because their own man, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, had recently been killed in Trap City territory. So now you had 2 sets, 2 fresh graves, and a whole city bracing for what always comes next in these situations, which is more graves. Right around the time Chevelle got killed, he had done an interview that had not even come out yet. In that sit-down, the interviewer kept pushing him with questions about people who had already passed away, and at one point, Chevelle got tired of it and pushed back.
At one point, the interviewer was asking a lot of questions in an effort to have Trap City try to clean up rumors about people who died previously. Trap City Carter literally asked the man, "Why do you keep asking all these questions about dead people?"
He was annoyed about talking about the dead, and then the universe did something cold.
Trap City Carter / Trap City Vell was killed literally a day before this interview dropped online. The day it premiered on YouTube for the first time, Vell was dead.
The man complaining about people talking on the dead became the dead before his own interview even hit the timeline. That is the kind of thing that makes the whole city go quiet for a second. But the tragedy was not finished with this family. 2 weeks later, on November 2nd, 2024, the Carter family held Chevelle's funeral. The service ran out of St. Mark's Baptist Church over in Harvey, Illinois. And after the wake and the funeral, the family lined up their cars for the procession to the cemetery. His sister, 34-year-old Romesha Turner, was driving a white Jaguar in that line, and somewhere around noon near 147th Street and Seeley Avenue in Dixmoor, the shooting started again.
Damage on this property is what's left behind after police say Romesha Turner lost control of her vehicle when someone shot her. Around noon, Dixmoor police say they got a call for shots fired at 147th and Seeley. When they arrived, they found Turner inside of a white Jaguar. She had been shot several times. She was taken to Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, where she died. Turner was a sister, a mother, and to many, a well-known stylist. Police say she was during a funeral procession that just left St. Mark's Church, about 2 blocks away. This funeral was for her brother, Chevelle Carter, who was shot on October 19th at 38th and Ellis. Police have not arrested anyone in his murder.
She got shot multiple times, lost control, and crashed that Jaguar into a house, tearing up a fence and porch steps, leaving one of her shoes behind in the wreckage. They rushed her to Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, but she did not make it.
And police say the driver of a white Jaguar was killed as she took part in a funeral procession. It had just left a church in Harvey when someone opened fire at 147th and Seeley in Dixmoor. The Jaguar crashed into a nearby home. 34-year-old Romesha Turner was found inside the vehicle, fatally injured. No one is in custody.
The scene told the whole ugly story. Investigators found shell casings, tire marks dug into the grass, and scattered personal items, the leftovers of sudden, close-range violence. And remember what this day was supposed to be. The family had just come out of a wake and a funeral service arranged through Leake and Sons Funeral Homes, the wake running in the morning and the funeral right after, all of it building to that slow drive to the cemetery. A procession is supposed to be the safest, most sacred part of the whole thing. Somebody looked at all of that and opened fire into it anyway.
Stalking the Bag, or Carter's funeral, was actually today. If you don't know who Stalking the Bag, Carter was, that's the guy that allegedly kind of like the incident between him and Lil Jeff, when Lil Jeff stole his chain, is what sparked the beef between Trap City and the Bloodhounds. His funeral was today. I'm hearing that his funeral got shot up. I'm hearing that his funeral got shot up on 147th in Harvey, and I'm hearing that his sister may have got shot. I'm hearing that his funeral got shot up and that his sister may have got shot.
She was a mother, a hairstylist everybody in the community loved, a woman who was studying nursing and left behind 2 daughters. She had nothing to do with chains or sets or beef. She was just burying her little brother, and they took her too.
You gonna pay the bill?
No, you can't.
No, I ain't.
Yes, you will.
I don't have no money.
What?
I don't have no money.
You better use that cash out card. Where's the cash out?
The word on the street was fast, and it was ugly, that this was payback, that somebody shot up a funeral to send a message. Even outside the city, folks were disgusted. King Yella got on and said what a lot of people were feeling. He sat there heartbroken about it, talking straight to whoever pulled that trigger, pointing out the obvious, that an innocent woman was gone and a family was now planning a second burial before they even finished the first. That is the human cost that gets buried under all the gang talk. Romeisha left behind 2 daughters, and the family started a fundraiser just to help take care of them. Advocates who track violence against Black women held her name up as another example of how these street wars swallow people who never signed up for them, and outlets even called it a revenge shooting at her brother's funeral. And here is the wild thing. This is not even new for Chicago. Shooting up a funeral has become its own sick pattern in that city. Back in 2020, over in Auburn Gresham, 15 people got shot outside a funeral for a man who himself was killed in a drive-by, with mourners firing back and more than 60 shell casings on the ground.
This cycle of violence in Chicago needs to end.
They're the latest grim headlines in what's been a grim year for gun violence in the city of Chicago. At least 60 shell casings left behind as 15 people were shot at a funeral home on the city's south side. And then not long after, in a separate shooting, a 3-year-old was shot.
Years earlier, after a rapper's funeral turned into a shootout, the county even put together a special task force just to try to stop violence at these services.
Violence is a symptom of communities that are crying out. Young men who don't believe that they have a future other than being part of one of these gangs or factions.
And any day of the week, any hour of the day, several hundred gang conflicts related to that 117,000 gang members.
In 2025, federal prosecutors tied that Auburn Gresham funeral attack to a gang accused of more than a dozen murders. Go back even further, and there was a rapper's funeral where more than 50 shots got fired. And reports have long described how funeral homes in gang territory operate under constant threat, sometimes needing police just to keep a burial from turning into a battlefield. So who answers for it?
To do my job in relation to a gang violence services. If you get emotional, you don't get emotional, you still have to do a job. And regardless of the fact, I still have to do my job. And that's to make sure that that family has been serviced well and that their loved one was taken care of in the most appropriate and respectful way, regardless of how they live their life. The funeral that really sticks out in my mind is the one that the police had to be called in because there was some kind of retaliation within the funeral. When we have to cancel the funeral, it hurts because it's not the family's fault, but we have to think of our own safety and our own security, so it kind of hurts. Meeting with the family and making arrangements with a young person, I have to find out what exactly was the cause of death, or was it gang-related, I'm sorry. And that makes a difference as far as my approach to them.
Be honest, frustrating truth is nobody, not yet. Chevelle's killing is being worked by Chicago's Area 1 detectives, and Romeisha's is being handled by Dixmoor Police with help from the Illinois State Police, and both are still wide open. Dixmoor even called her shooting isolated at first, which felt like a slap to a community that saw 2 family members gunned down in 14 days. Chicago has actually improved at solving murders in recent years, but cases like these, in the neighborhoods hit hardest, still tend to go cold because witnesses are scared and nobody wants to be next.
The cycle of violence in Chicago. Someone gets shot, which prompts someone else to pick up a gun. This same cycle repeats itself over and over and over again.
As for who did it, the honest answer is nobody has been charged for either killing. One name that floated around the aftermath was Trap City Rob, who got picked up shortly after and hit with an armed habitual criminal charge, and who some say was questioned in connection to Bloodhound Lil Jeff's murder, but never charged for it.
They say who created that man?
They say don't do that, man. They gonna think it's something else, man. But long love Dusky, man. Long love, you know.
For sure.